Tensions running high outside the Supreme Court.
She's women! She's women! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Roe v. Wade has got to go!
Barricades erected and protesters gathering, all in response to a new report saying the conservative-leaning court is ready to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark ruling that legalized abortion.
Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. By now, I'm sure you've heard the news about the leaked document by the Supreme Court proposing to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I believe now is a good time to discuss the subject of abortion. The first thing that needs to be said is that this isn't the end-all or be-all of abortion. It's simply returning the issue to the state level. Then, of course, this issue isn't simply black or white and has much nuance. Even within the first paragraph of this leaked document states, "Some believe fervently that a human person comes into being at conception and that abortion ends an innocent life. Others feel just as strongly that any regulation of abortion invades a woman's right to control her own body and prevents women from achieving full equality. Still, others in a third group think that abortion should be allowed under some but not all circumstances, and those within this group hold a variety of views about the particular restrictions that should be imposed." I find myself within this third group. In the circumstance of rape or incest is of course very traumatic, and in that situation you should have the choice because rape and incest is a crime. Yet, according to a survey done in 2019, women's abortion decisions rarely stem from rape or incest cases. 74% say having a baby would dramatically change my life. 73% say can't afford a baby right now. 48% say don't want to be a single mother or having relationship problems. 38% say I have completed my childbearing. Yet, a small percent, 1%, say they are a victim of rape, and 0.5% say their pregnancy is a result of incest. I know people don't like hearing this, but the vast majority of unwanted pregnancies are simply due to the carelessness of not using proper protection. According to Planned Parenthood, condoms are highly effective when used correctly, and of course, there are other forms of birth control. There is also the morning after pill. According to Yale, you should take the emergency contraception pill as soon as possible. You have up to 120 hours, 5 days, after unprotected sex. Now, let's say you took every precaution, yet this still failed you. Even the most strict state laws allow an abortion a few weeks into development. That should be plenty of time to decide whether or not you are ready to be a parent. Deciding to bring a new life into this world is a very big decision. If the idea of an abortion even crosses your mind, that should be a sign that you are not ready. People within the pro-life movement are often painted unfairly as religious freaks, yet the argument is actually quite scientific. Life begins at conception.
Together, they attack the egg cell. Their only goal is to be the first one to enter the egg. Only one will make it through, but the others simplify this mission by slowly dissolving the membrane of the egg. Finally, we have a winner. The winning sperm enters the egg and conception occurs. Half the man's and half the woman's chromosomes combine. This creates a unique DNA code which is needed to create new life. These combined chromosomes form the first cell of the new baby. This is now called the zygote.
While at the first stages of development, it may be just a cluster of cells, but after a few weeks of development, this cluster forms into a human life. It doesn't take a genius to distinguish a lump of cells versus a life form that has a heartbeat. This is where science meets the law. Killing a human being is not only immoral, but murder is murder. You do not have to be religious to have common sense or morals. Strangely enough, many vegans, including myself, who supposedly value life, are not in fact religious. According to a 2017 survey by the Vegetarian Resource Group, nearly 47% of people in a sample survey of 11,000 said they do not actively participate in religion. Whenever the subject of abortion is brought up, there are always those who think they have vegans in a gotcha moment. Yet, when a pro-lifer is asked about veganism, they seem to backtrack a little bit. To some degree, they already seem to just acknowledge this connection, yet they will say things like, oh, it's my personal choice, but as most of you know, personal choices do not involve victims. For those of you who are pro-life, yet say an animal's life doesn't matter, let's take the SLED test. Size. The value of life isn't determined by size. Cows are much larger than adult humans, yet an adult human is much larger than a human fetus. The idiom of might makes right comes to mind. Size, strength, and force of will does not mean your actions are moral. Level of development. Did you know that pigs are more intelligent than dogs? They have similar cognitive abilities as a toddler, yet at least here in the West, we eat pigs and keep dogs as pets. Why protect the unborn if their level of development is less than a pig's? Environment. In the womb or out of the womb, a life is a life. A small farm or a factory farm. It doesn't matter where that life is from or currently living. The death of an innocent and sentient life is also horrific, whether that be in a slaughterhouse or a surgical room.
The baby's bones and skull are quite strong. They cannot be torn apart by the suction alone. The instrument used to carry out the termination of pregnancy is a forceps, a grasping forceps. It is a metal high-quality instrument, 13 inches or so in length. The active end of the instrument is about 2.5 inches in length, and it has teeth within the instrument which, when it grasps a structure, will not let it go easily. The abortionist uses this clamp to grasp an arm or a leg. Once he has a firm grip, the abortionist pulls hard in order to tear the limb from the body of the baby. One by one, the rest of the limbs are removed, along with other body organs, the intestines, the spine, the heart and the lungs. Usually the most difficult part of the procedure is extracting the baby's head, because at this stage of pregnancy, the baby's head will be the size of an average plum. It simply won't come through the cervix. In order that this is removed, one needs to crush the skull. This requires inserting the grasping forceps and placing it around the head and crushing the baby's head. That will, of course, cause damage and injury to the skull bones, and one will know that one has achieved that by observing a yellowish, creamy fluid moving through the cervix. That will be the brains of the baby.
Dependency. Both a fetus and a small child rely on their mothers. For instance, a child with Down syndrome has every right to life as a child without this condition. In the dairy industry, calves are taken away from their mothers so we as humans can have their milk, and then they become dependent on farmers for survival. Just because a life is dependent on another doesn't make that life any less or more valuable. Life is precious, no matter the size, level of development, environment, or dependency. Should these same principles not apply to the animals we selfishly condemn to eat? Giving into sexual urges without protection is just as selfish as giving into your taste buds while there are plenty of vegan options. When you have the option to prevent a cruel death, why not choose to do so? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I am both vegan and pro-life.